Here's up, guys, it's MugenLord here. Now, I know I'm pretty late on this topic. Everybody's been talking about it, but I pretty much wanted to give my take on this particular situation. I think what we're starting to see right now is that people are getting tired of DEI. People are getting tired of, social commentary that's being placed in these games, and we're starting to see a lot of these AAA games that implement a lot of this nonsense. They're starting to fall and crumble, and we're starting to see even the people that's behind a lot of this filth and garbage are, after they destroyed a particular IP, they begin to just run away and quit and move on to other pastures. And it's just sad, is because now we have IPs that people have grown up with, is now seeded. These IPs are now destroyed, and there could be a possibility that we never see these IPs ever again. And you also start to see journalists blocking people as well, as people begin to show them and expose them for the fact is that they defended these games because they wanted to see the anti-woke side, or the people that calls this side or calls this nonsense out, upset and angry. And it's just funny how a lot of these journalists come to the rescue to these games, and now nowhere to be found after these games has bombed. So what I'm talking about here, well, we're talking about Dragon Age Veilguard. We said this before. I don't know why people didn't see this coming, but yes, the game was not a success. Who didn't see this coming? And then we also have the director or the producer that's behind this game, who has also left the company as well after this game has bombed pretty much. So I just wanted to read the article. I want to give you my thoughts and opinion on it, because we're starting to see the collapse of these type of games. And I think we're going to start seeing more and more of it, to the point where a lot of these developers are going to wake up to this. We already talked about previously, another developer have also mentioned that we will not be incorporating a lot of this nonsense in our games, especially after we've seen a lot of examples of why we shouldn't do this. And I think that this is going to happen in the year 2025, that we're going to start to see a total shift in direction when it comes to gaming in general. So before we dive into this video, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell for more gaming content here on this channel. So we're going to dive right into it. It's from Forbes. It says Dragon Age, the Veilguard performed half as well as expected, says EA. And you see, I had to put a nice little twist, half as well. After the failure to launch Anthem as an important new IP, and EA is just bombing when it comes to a lot of this garbage or whatever. And Anthem, they just totally dropped the ball. They just sunk money and just lost money and everything. And here we are with Dragon Age Veilguard, another IP that fans were looking forward to and just failed. It says, and the decline in the series quality that came with Mass Effect Andromeda. BioWare really needed a hit when it came to Dragon Age the Veilguard. And for them to want a hit, why did they thought it was a good idea to implement the nonsense that they put into this game, especially after the failure of Mass Effect, especially after the failure of Anthem? How tone deaf can you possibly be? So I continue. While originally things may have looked promising, no, it did not look promising. It did not look promising at all. And I don't know why they're even saying this in this article. And who's the journalist that's writing this? Paul Tassi. I don't know why Paul Tassi's even saying this, or even Jason Schreier himself. Why even say this? It did not look promising. How? At the end of the day, they're still caping for this game. I don't understand how it looked promising. It didn't look promising day one. So as I continue, it says, with Dragon Age grabbing the highest concurrent Steam player count of any BioWare game, the longer term picture was far less rosy. So like we said before, I mentioned before, when it came to Dragon Age the Veilguard, I said, guess what's going to happen? Journalists are going to brag about how many players are playing the game. It's Dragon Age. Dragon Age, people are going to, people, especially at the beginning, are going to jump in and play this game, buy the game. It wasn't about the initial sales at the very beginning, because it's the hype that generates the fact is that despite how trash it looked and how we knew that the game was going to fail, the name itself has brand recognition. Dragon Age has been away from the scene for a very, very long time. So people are going to buy the game just off the name alone. So it was expected for it to look like it's doing great at the very beginning, because the name alone is about whether or not if the IP or the game itself is going to have legs to push them even farther, which it failed. So let us continue. So it says, in the preliminary Q3 report by EA, it cited that Dragon Age Veilguard as one of the reasons its forecast for 2025 went from a predicted increase to a projected decline. Of course. And I don't understand how they thought that this was going to increase them at any kind of way or any sense of the way. And the thing is, I'm thinking, in my personal opinion, I'm thinking that they thought that the name alone was going to carry it. I refuse to believe that they thought that the content of the game itself was going to drive their sales up. I refuse to believe that. I believe that they were counting on this, that people haven't played Dragon Age for a very long time, and that people's going to swoon in droves to buy it just based on the name. That's what I believe. Now, it says, I quote, Dragon Age engaged approximately 1.5 million players during the quarter, and down nearly 50% from the company's expectations, says the report. I wonder why. A new game, particularly one 10 years in the making, after a Game of the Year winning sequel, underperformingly by a full 50%, is dire. You'll also notice from the wording there that it said engage, not sold. Yes, because they have to spin it in some way. They have to say it in some way to try to make it sound pretty, or to make it sound like, oh, you know, it didn't really fail or whatever like that. And this is all corporate speak right here. As this number includes those who might have played via EA Play, so sales are likely not much above 1 million. It says Dragon Age Veilguard reviewed decently among critics and 82 Metascore. I gave it an 8.5. Of course you did. A lot of your journalists was just jerking off to this game and just stroking at it because of its messaging. But that did not translate into sales. Of course it didn't, because gamers do not believe you guys. That is the problem. The gamers do not believe the media anymore, because YouTubers, content creators, influencers, we are the media. We sit down, we play these games. We play them for hours. We break the games down, and we will tell our audience the truth about these games, because we're not being paid by these companies, and it's our own audience that we have cultivated. This is why that 82 Metascore didn't translate to sales, because no one trusts you guys. No gamer trusts you guys. So let's move on. It says this is a sequel to a game that released 10 years ago, and it relied on story elements from the original game, including knowledge of its main villain, Solus, which many new players may not have had. Or they just were not interested in the series they did not play in the first place a decade ago. That's not true. There's plenty of examples of games that has not been around for so long, and that has come back and has returned, and people came back and played these games. And we also have the upcoming Ninja Gaiden 4. Ninja Gaiden 4 hasn't been around for what? Almost 10, maybe 13 years? And I guarantee you that this game, that Ninja Gaiden 4, is going to do very, very well. Because people see the game for what it is, and know what they want and know what they like, and the developer respects the gamers with the content that they are producing. So people are going to look forward to that game. People seen from the start of what they were going to get when they seen Dragon Age Veilguard. And this is the point that Paul Tassi is missing, unless he's being disingenuous when it comes to this. Now, for some existing players, a game was a pretty significant departure in aesthetic and tone from past games, seemingly aimed at a somewhat younger crowd. Again, maybe some who didn't play the first game, and scaling back some of its harsher themes. Dialogue too often felt overly modern for some players. Just say it, man. Just say that they did it. They made the game for the modern audience and added the whole wokeness, pronouns, and all that other nonsense that gamers who grew up with it originally, who came from a totally different era than what the modern audience or the so-called modern audience are entrenched in. And you turned off that audience, the original audience who got Dragon Age to the popularity that it was recognized for. So it says, Veilguard also became the centerpiece of yet another culture war about woke games regarding its trans and non-binary features / storylines. It frequently consumed at least part of the online conversation about the game in the run-up to release in a way that BioWare and EA likely did not want. How you don't want it, but then you put the nonsense in there? You should have expected that. No one wants this nonsense. No one did, and then you guys insisted on putting it in there. Gamers keep telling you guys we don't want this in our games, and you guys put it in the game anyway, and then get surprised that no one comes and show up for it. And then on top of it, you took out what made Dragon Age Dragon Age. All the features, the gameplay that people know and love from the franchise, you took it away. And then instead you incorporated and injected this woke nonsense in it, and then get surprised that no one wanted to pick it up. And it deserved the criticism that it deserved. And then on top of that, now you even have some game journalists even admitted that the game was too woke for its own good. Too woke for its own good. And that's the problem. So, Dragon Age, the Veilguard, had unfortunate timing to release just over a year after all-time great RPG Baldur's Gate 3. Far and away that most beloved titles of its release year, surpassing Veilguard in every way, making for a poor comparison point. No, bullshit. We're not going to sit here and blame Baldur's Gate 3 on this. There's no way we're going to blame that for this. Baldur's Gate 3 made a competent game, and EA made trash. They're two different things. But guess what? If they made a competent game, they wouldn't be using Baldur's Gate 3 or even have Baldur's Gate 3 even in the conversation at all. The game was just trash. It was a poorly designed game, a bad Dragon Age game, in fact. So that's the thing. These guys who are trying to use this as a way to try to put blame of why gamers didn't come out and support this game. So it says the Dragon Age underperformance is not actually the biggest story in EA report, as the more concerning reveal from the company is that FC25 underperformed, formerly a sure thing for the company, and it accounted for majority of the decline, not Dragon Age. So that's a more urgent issue EA must deal with. Apex Legends, its free-to-play battle royale, also lost a significant amount of players in 2024. Still, for BioWare, this is 3 games in a row that are likely considered misses to some degree. When probably Mass Effect Andromeda was the best performer, that's a problem. Now there is a new Mass Effect being worked on, but you have to imagine this does not end well if that too disappoints. 4 strikes, you may just be out for good at that point. So I agree with him when it comes to that, Paul Tassi, when it comes to this situation. Yes, when you have all these titles, and this is the thing, Mass Effect was their golden child that they just screwed up. It was the start of the downfall of EA or BioWare, I would say, when it comes to BioWare and their IPs. You know, like ever since, and that came around the time of Gamergate, essentially, or whatever. And the writing should have been on the wall since then for these developers, and they just kept going downhill and downhill after that when it comes to their 3 favorite IPs. And if for some strange reason it seemed like they're so out of touch with reality, and they don't understand why gamers are walking away from this. You strip everything about the game that people resonate with, and you just interject your own political bullshit into it, and then you get surprised why it failed. And then what adds more insult to injury, you also have Dragon Age Veilguard director reportedly exit BioWare, which a lot of people are now talking about this, and the studio's now focusing on Mass Effect 5. And the person that directed Dragon Age Veilguard is pretty much Corinne Busche, or I guess that's how you pronounce this particular person, which we also found out that this game director of this game is in fact a trans woman. And you can see the comments, and everybody look at Dragon Age Veilguard now and say, you know what, now it makes fucking sense. You hire a trans woman, and then this trans woman take their ideology and then interject the bullshit in their game, and now the game is just hardly recognizable, and EA gets exactly what they deserve. And this crazy thing about it is you have Corinne who sat there and designed and directed this game, caused the game to bomb, destroyed an IP such as Dragon Age in general, and now exit out, bail, jump ship. And now there could be a possibility that we may not even ever see Dragon Age ever again, or in fact, we may never see it in a very, very long time, because they decided they wanted to hire this particular person and thought it was a good fucking idea to have this person helm on such an iconic IP, or a legendary IP that fans have known to love. And that's sad. And the thing is, hopefully they get their act together with Mass Effect 5, but I don't have any hope. But let's just hope and see that they turn things around, because by the time Mass Effect 5 come, we don't know where the culture is going to be at in terms of gaming. There could be a total swift and things could go back on track, but if not, this is pretty much it for BioWare. So I definitely want to hear your thoughts in the comment sections below. What do you think about Dragon Age Veilguard just falling to shit, and even the director himself had left, and now all of a sudden now EA is left with the mess that this person has created. So definitely let me know. If you like the video, hit the like button, subscribe button for more gaming content here on this channel. This is MugenLord signing off. I'll see you game fiends later. Peace out.